Good morning, everyone. Happy to have you back after a long weekend. It looks like, yeah, we have all 30 students here today. Excellent. So we're going to start with some silent reading. So everyone pull out your silent reading books, please.
Mrs. Clark, could I please have some help with my reading today? It's kind of hard to read this book all by myself.
Of course, Frank. I'll do a breakout room for us.
Oh, Mrs. Clark, once you help Frank, can you also read with me a bit too? My mom says I need someone to help me sound out the tough words.
Okay, yeah, Sue, no problem. I'll do Frank for 10 minutes and then I'll open up a breakout room for us too.
Mrs. Clark, my EA had to go help Mrs. Bath's class. Can you help me with my book?
Yes, sure, Mary. I'll be there as soon as I can. Hi, everyone, and welcome to our presentation on class size. Class size is a hot button topic for teachers because it affects everything that we do. It affects our lesson planning, how many groups we can have in our classroom, the physical space that we actually have to work with in the class, the social opportunities that our students have, and the time we get to spend one-on-one really getting to know our students. But it doesn't only impact us. Our EAs are also limited by the class size, and the more students there are, the less time they have to work one-on-one with the students they need to support. And of course, it impacts the student. Do they feel like the teacher has really taken the time to get to know them, or are they too busy with other students? There's a lot of things that we could talk about when it comes to class size. Ratios, costs, stress, they're all things that should be considered, but we're going to focus on the most important topics today that we found that are listed here on the screen.
How does small class size benefit students in primary grades? We will look at the STAR Project Student-Teacher Achievement Ratio. It is a 4-year study authorized by the Tennessee governor at the time, Lamar Alexander, and funded by the state. The focus was on primary grades, kindergarten to grade 3, and whether small class sizes would have an impact on academic attainment. Combination and standardized and curriculum-based tests were used to assess and compare the performance of 6,500 students in about 330 classrooms at approximately 80 schools in areas of reading and mathematics. The experiment started in 1985 and the classes were divided up 3 ways. First, small class of 13 to 17 students. Second, regular class size of 22 to 25 students. And third, regular class size with a teacher's aide. It is important to note that the experiment included many schools ranging from inner city, urban, suburban, and rural areas, as to include the diversity in the community and be able to determine the progress of children from various backgrounds. During the 4-year study, the results indicated that the small class size had an impact on attainment. For example, in kindergarten, the students were 0.5 months ahead. In grade 1, students were 1.9 months ahead. In grade 2, students were 5.6 months ahead. And in grade 3, students were 7.1 months ahead. During the phase 2, the lasting benefit study, it provided an observational view of the STAR experiment, following students that participated for 3 years after the experiment. The students returned to regular classes in the 4th, 5th, 6th, and later grades. It was determined that the smaller class sizes in the primary grades had lasting effects, and the majority of the students continued to perform better on standardized testing than the students that were in regular classes. During the phase 3, known as Project Challenge, where small class sizes were implemented for students starting kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, and 3rd grade in 17 school districts that had the lowest per capita income. The results indicated that both the reading and math scores improved when looked at the previous performance by children in these districts, as well as when compared with other schools in the state. Important note is that before the small classes were implemented, these districts were performing well below the average for the state in mathematics, but after the change in smaller class sizes, the math scores were above the average. In summary, the results indicate that there is a benefit of smaller class sizes in the primary grades. The test scores demonstrated significant gains in attainment. Also, the observations from the lasting benefits study determined that the attainment effects carry on when the students were introduced back to regular class size. Lastly, the addition of small class sizes in lower socioeconomic communities proved to have noticeable academic improvements. Next, we will look at what are the benefits of small class size on special education. Firstly, students with learning disabilities would benefit from a small class size by being able to receive more individual attention from the teacher and less classroom distraction. Large class sizes may have a negative effect on the students with learning disabilities. They usually already have difficulties with being able to focus their attention and with retaining information provided by the teacher. Being in a small class will allow for more individual attention from the teacher. Also, large class sizes can be a distracting environment with an increase in noise levels. Secondly, when one of the problems expressed frequently by teachers is the difficulty in covering the wide range of attainment levels in a large class. In the Russell and Blatchford research, a teacher in grade 5 expressed her concerns by stating that the main problem is the wide ability range. I have children from level 2 in math and English and up to level 5. Differentiation in whole class sessions are really difficult. Also, I don't have the time to focus on each child enough. I have no classroom assistance, and the children in the middle groups miss out most. Lastly, some of the teachers felt that the students with higher attainment levels missed out on receiving challenging learning opportunities. The teachers interviewed voiced these concerns by revealing that because the greater number of children and the ability levels seem to be wider, therefore you feel that you're not stretching the brighter ones or giving enough time and support for the less able ones. You also have less time to spend with each individual child. You can't arrange groups in the way that you want because of the lack of space. In summary, teachers have expressed their concerns of the impact of larger class sizes has on students and with special educational needs. With the diverse attainment levels in the classroom, the teacher will need to incorporate various learning strategies to support the abilities of all the students. In a large class, it can be a time-consuming process that constantly needs to be adjusted and evaluated. Teachers may feel the pressure to either give more support to the students that have special educational needs and thereby mostly ignoring the other children, which would have a negative impact on the whole class.
The next issue related to class size that we will look at is the effect on student-teacher relationships. There are many aspects of student-teacher relationships that are affected by large class sizes. First, teachers notice that smaller class numbers allow for more meaningful and productive relationships between teachers and their students. The book, Rethinking Class Size by Russell and Blatchford, provided us with some great accounts from teachers on their experiences with larger classes and their relationships with their students. The first account comes from a 5th grade teacher who states that in a class of 36 students, the teacher finds it hard to spend quality time with individuals. She discusses how this lack of quality time due to large class size causes her not to create a good relationship with them and finds there is not enough time to discuss their work and help her students to set goals and targets for their own individual learning. The experiences of teachers show us that the relationships between student and teacher greatly affect not only the classroom experience in terms of social connection, but also their learning. When teachers are able to create a meaningful connection with each of their students, they can better understand students' learning needs and can provide advice for meeting these needs and support their students along the way. The next impact of class sizes on teacher-to-student relationships deals with interactions between teacher and student. Blatchford and Russell's research states that smaller class sizes allow student and teacher relationships to build because there is more participation and students cannot hide from a crowd. In a crowd, in a larger class size, you have students that stand out and engage, while inevitably you have the ones who do not actively participate. These are the ones that tend to struggle from large class sizes because they get by without engaging and more than likely miss a lot of the information being taught. The book discusses that when class sizes are large, students play a passive role in contact with the teacher, meaning that students are not called upon by the teacher and do not have participation opportunities in the classroom. Students in larger classes become an audience because the classroom environment is not a collaborative one. Many times, due to lack of time and energy, teachers tend to lean towards a more lecture style of teaching. When the class has too many students in it, students tend to listen, but when it comes to their interactions with the teacher, these are very scarce. We see this concept on the graph here. This graph comes from the DISS study, which carried out systematic observations in 4 grade levels in 27 primary schools. There were 686 students observed and over 30,000 observations in total. In this study, as we can see in the graph below, There are very significant associations between class size and student focus on the teacher. Focus noticeably increases as class size decreases. As we have discussed many times in the program thus far, teaching is not just about delivering material, and if it were, class size would not make a difference because it doesn't matter how many students you have in a room if all they're doing is listening. Teaching involves so much more than that, and this is where class size really plays a difference. Because teaching involves getting to know students, their learning needs, their behaviors, and all the other aspects of teaching that we've learned, teachers need to have access to different approaches like group work, one-to-one conferencing, interactive activities, and many more so that they can support individual students in different areas and extend their understanding of concepts.
Another important question for us to address is, does student behavior and classroom management change with class size? We're going to be looking at research that supports the theory that larger class sizes make it easier for students to move from on-task to off-task behavior, and that teachers have less time to spend on academic challenges and have to spend more time addressing behaviors. So first, let's look at off-task behavior. Obviously, the more students we have in the class, the more opportunity we have for distraction, which means more stimulus in the classroom for students to respond to. The research by Bondajerg in a DISS systemic observation study found that there was more pupil on task and less off-task behavior as class size decreased, meaning the smaller the class size, the less stimulus in the classroom, the less off-task behavior that we see. Additionally, we can take a look at the time spent addressing behaviors in classroom. Let's think about it in a real-life scenario. Let's say you have 30 students in your class and you want to teach a 15-minute lesson. 10 students interrupt during your lesson, and each interruption takes about 30 seconds for you to address and then get back to where you were in your PowerPoint and keep going. That's 5 out of the 15 minutes you had planned that you're spending addressing behavior. And think about the students that really need one-on-one support. Those 5 minutes could definitely be better spent addressing a challenge with a student so that they feel more confident in the work that they're doing. And the research supports this. The study by Kanangi quoted, at the elementary level, a larger class size was associated with less time spent on student academic behaviors, more time spent on acting out behaviors such as disruption and inappropriate talking. As you can see, the time we spent addressing behaviors can definitely be better spent elsewhere.
I would like to take a moment here to switch gears and play devil's advocate and ask the question, what about the benefits of a large class size? Through our research, we have found that most authors comment on both sides of the argument regarding class size, including the benefits of a larger class size. So what are they? More social opportunities become available. For example, a larger class size provides more availability to create friendships. First, more friends can lead to more observational learning. Observational learning provides opportunities for students to learn from each other through observation, since there are more available role models in the classroom. Second, more available role models in the classroom can improve self-efficacy through vicarious experiences. Remember, vicarious experiences are when an observer recognizes a model's accomplishments, which allows them to associate with the model and improve their own self-efficacy. Third, larger class sizes can result in better self-regulation, more specifically, shared regulation, where students work together through reminders, prompts, and guiding each other. And lastly, larger class sizes provides more opportunities to work in groups to share and co-construct ideas, which leads to deeper understanding of concepts and materials being learned. I would like to take a moment here to look at 2 quotes from the literature that supports the idea of a social opportunities in a larger class size. First, from Bondajerg et al. 2021, they say, small class sizes may limit the possibilities for finding compatible peers with whom to build friendships, hence leading to adverse effects on students' social and personal well-being in school. Another quote from Kanangi, 2019 says, students learn from peers like themselves, and the larger the class, the more likely it is that they will have peers like themselves, and GPA rises with class size. Both of these authors mention the benefits of larger class sizes through more social opportunities. Next, larger class sizes also supports better preparedness for the real world. Students learn to actually live and work with other people through multiple daily interactions. Students speak more often in front of larger crowds, building confidence and self-efficacy. Furthermore, Larger class sizes are what students will find in a college or university setting in the future. So why not start preparing it in advance and incorporating larger class sizes beforehand? Here are two quotes from the literature from Blatchford and Russell, 2021, that support the benefits of immersing students in larger class sizes to better prepare them for real-world interactions. So they say, larger class sizes provides better experience at speaking in front of larger groups with more students, and larger class sizes also provide better preparation for the college environment, which tends to have larger class sizes.
If you take one thing away from our presentation today, we hope that that class size does affect our students. But there's two sides to the argument. Maybe you're for smaller class sizes because we see stronger teacher-student relationships. We see teachers having more time to give individual attentions to students who need it, and we see better classroom management overall. Or maybe you're on the side for larger classes because it gives our students greater social experiences and prepares them for moving into the working world. Another thing that we need to consider is the age of our students. Blatchford and Russell's research shows that smaller children are more in need of smaller class sizes, and as they grow up and gain independence, then we can bring larger class sizes in with less negative consequences. So if you're interested in looking further into this topic, maybe doing a deep dive, here's some other articles that you could look at that we found super insightful. Some of them address cost of reducing our classroom size, some address the workload that's put on teachers with large class sizes, and some just have general observations from real teachers that are dealing with this issue every day. But before we finish, we're going to turn it over to Dr. Schatt, and we want to hear what you think. Do you think that class size matters? And we want to hear why or why not, in your opinion, is this an important topic to be discussing? So over to you, Dr. Schatt.